You've probably heard the advice that you should use a reference track when you're mixing to make your mixes sound better, but actually, the same thing applies to music production. In the past, I've produced for a lot of artists where they'll send me reference tracks for what they want it to sound like, and I've kind of come up with a method that makes it really easy to come up with ideas in that specific style. And I'm going to break down my method for you right now. If you guys have tuned into my Produce Like series where I produce like a certain artist or genre, you'll know that the very first thing that I figure out how to do is calculate the average BPM of the artist or the genre, because that simple calculation lays the groundwork for the rest of the steps below, so it's the first thing that you should do. Let's say that we have one particular track though that we want to use as a reference. What I recommend you do is record in the audio of that song into your DAW, and if you're on a Mac, you can use a program like Black Hole to do that, where it creates a digital bus for you to route audio through, and you can set the input to be Black Hole. Then what I like to do is go through and slice up this track into clips that represent the structure of the song. So for this song, we could call this the intro, and I might color this, let's say light blue. Now remember, colors are great because your brain recognizes them quicker than it does words, so it's good to use both, in my opinion. For a beat like this, we could maybe call this the hook, hook 1, and we'll color it red because I like red for the hooks. Okay, so it should look something like this once you're finished. What I like to do is create a blank track for each element in the song that I hear. So I'm gonna start with the drums, and I actually have a kick, snare, and hat ready to go by default, but let's just see what we've got in this reference song that I have. Okay, so we've got a kick, we've got a snare, and we've got a hat, and I also heard an open hat, so I'm gonna press Command-Shift-T, and I'm gonna call this open hat. And there's also sort of a soft hat as well, live downbeat hat. And now you don't have to be too exhaustive here, like you can just kind of go through and do the most important elements that you want to have in your song as well. So now that we've finished the drums, let's go ahead and do the other instrumentation here. So I hear kind of like a deep bass, chopped piano, reverb, piano, effects, chorus, Rhodes sound, vocal chops, and in this last section, wah synth. So the idea here is that we have just a short little description, you know, the titles of each of these blank tracks to help guide us when we're actually making the sounds themselves. Now, if we go ahead and mute our reference track, what we're gonna do now is just get some basic sounds together that match the description that we wrote down for each of the titles of the tracks. So for deep bass, for example, I have one in mind that I think will work. It's called Simple Bass. It's a preset that I made a while back. And then for the chopped piano loop, we can do... How about this one? We'll just drag that into a sampler so we have that ready to go. And for reverb piano effects, let's get a piano out. For the Rhodes, we could do an electric piano kind of thing. Oh look, and it even has a little chorus macro for us to play with. Perfect. It's really working out in our favor here. And then maybe we'll get a little vocal here. Then for this wah synth, how about we open something like Analog Lab? One really nice thing about Arturia stuff too is that you can search the presets for whatever you're looking for. So if I type in wah, let's see what it gives me here. Yeah, something like that could work. Whatever idea you have in your head, you can almost just type it into the preset thing and you'll find something related to whatever it is. And for the drums, we're just gonna go through and apply the same concept. So if we wanted kind of a knock kick, we'll type in knock kick. Maybe like a rim shot kind of snare for our snare. And we just go through and we find drum sounds that match the description that we have. Maybe this one. For soft offbeat hat, we'll do something like this. And for our shaker, let's look for a shaker loop. And if you're not confident that you'll have something that will work in your library, just head over to Splice and type in the same kind of thing, like, you know, knocky kick or whatever, and see what comes up. And one of those will probably work. Whew! We're almost at the fun part. So we've laid the groundwork for everything else. The last thing that we need to do is kind of take a look at the musicality of our reference. What I mean by that is look at the chord progression and kind of the rhythmic elements and see how we can approach making a similar thing when we're in the creative zone. I like to start with something like mood. You know, is it happy and exciting? Or is it contemplative, you know? If it's happy and exciting, obviously we want to go for a major key. If it's lonely and contemplative, maybe something more minor. Another good thing for us to think about is how complex are the chord progressions and the chords themselves. So if we take our reference track, Overall, I describe that chord progression as a little bit above average in complexity. So we're gonna wanna look at chords that are used in jazz more often, like 7ths and 9ths and 11ths and 13ths and those kind of chords. And perhaps even some jazz progressions like your 2-5-1s. On the other hand, if it was more simple and it was more of a pop track, stick to your tried and true triads. Tried and true triads. Okay, now it's time to just start making the dang music. What I like to do is start by making the hook first, or the most exciting part of the song first, and then you just build outward from there. And then as you're kind of composing, if you have any questions about how to transition from part to part or what kind of chords you should use, all you have to do is solo your reference. So once you build your main part, you know that the part right before that could be a filtered, stripped back version of the more exciting part, and that's how you can start building out the song. It's really helpful. An awesome part about this whole process is that this is something that you can do when you're not feeling all that creative, which as a creative, I'm sure that you've experienced before. And you know, all this organization and color coding and prepping and analysis, that's all productive work that you can do. And you'd be really surprised at how effective you are once you've laid this all out. The juices get flowing and you just get cooking. Just get cooking, baby. All right, if you guys enjoyed this video, we got lots more just like it here on In the Beat. And let me know, what are your favorite references to use? And do you do anything similar to this process? Let me know down below, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.